There we go. So, okay, let's see if we got that working. And I had to plug in and replug in my mic. For some reason, the mute button would not turn off. So, let's double check that we got everything working. Free training room. Let's see if we got that going. And no, no audio. We getting? How about on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that? Are we getting audio over there? Cause well, let's see. Let me redo some of these things. Okay. So hang on just a moment. For some reason, these things are not working. All right, let's see if we got audio in the free trading room, and then, okay, let's see. Do we have audio in the Moxie room too? I think we should be good. Thank you, Mirza. All right, and for those of you on Facebook and YouTube and over that area, sorry for the quick delay. Sounds like we got sound over there, and now we got sound over here in Moxie too. So thanks. You know, when you're trying to go 4 different places, sometimes computers don't want to always cooperate. So sounds like we got everything up and running and good to go. Always, as I put the profit pilot up there, if you guys are interested in finding out more information about me, that's where you can go. And then we've got FOMC minutes today, which it's probably going to be a little bit of a mover. I think it's mostly that traders and investors are going to be looking for kind of a little bit more guidance and confirmation of what they're expecting at the next major FOMC meeting. And so we'll just have to see about that. And then what I wanted to show you was if I pull up the, let's see, the internals, they have just been not amazing for the last few days. And the market honestly has been in chop other than Friday and then Tuesday. So remember, we had a 3-day weekend, 4th of July weekend. We had Monday off. So I hope everybody had a good time. But look, for the advanced decline order flow, it has not been awesome, which we've kind of seen. It's been just kind of down and chopping. And then the advanced decline as far as stocks were down and then kind of took it up and then down again. Yesterday was kind of odd. Yesterday we opened up with a pretty big gap down and the order flow was pretty much negative all day. It kind of started to turn around a bit and the number of stocks that were down was significant, and then they kind of crawled their way back to being positive. Now, yesterday, as I said, was a little bit odd in that a lot of these names looked like they had big moves, like for big moves for the time frame that I was looking at, and they moved up, and then they just felt like they had moved up too fast, too quickly, and pulled too far away from their moving averages, from too far away from support. It felt like a little short squeeze, Now, there are some legitimate stocks that have been going up for a while, but, at the point that we were looking at them yesterday, it's too late to get into them. And so looking at the rest of the stocks out there that are kind of in line with the market and stuff, trying to see if some of these names are going to be hammering out bottoms. Yesterday was odd, and a lot of those names today are pulling back fairly hard or giving back the gains that they made yesterday. And then we can look at the internals. We have the advanced decline volume has been negative pretty much all day, and the advanced decline of stocks has been negative all day. Now, maybe that's because of people kind of holding their breath for the FOMC minutes today. Maybe it's just technical. Maybe yesterday was just too much and kind of got stretched. There can be a whole lot of reasons for what I'm kind of seeing out there. From a technical standpoint, this has been challenging, and I've been talking to the Moxie subscribers about this for what feels like the last week or two, because we've been looking at a potential double bottom here on the daily chart. It's also elf shoot, leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and typically we would see an elf toe, so a bullish situation in through here. And we got the 50, 200, 50 maneuver. That all worked out perfectly. And then what we've been looking for then is to see if the trampoline move on the hourly chart works out. So remember, price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0 should be bullish. But it has been just kind of a mess to be hammering out this bottom in through here. The Moxie indicator hasn't been looking awesome, but now they are above zero. Again, not awesome, but they are above zero. And you know, I keep looking at 50, 250 on the 15-minute time frame. So 50, 250, and again, 50, 250. So this is why I didn't really want to do anything yesterday, because I felt like, well, you know, they were fairly decent sized moves. I don't want to be buying at the top of a big day yesterday. So I said, well, let's wait and see what today is. And sure enough, we're getting a bit of a pullback today in the market and in a lot of names out there. So far, it looks like it's kind of getting held back by the hourly 50, but you know, that could be temporary. So if this is going to continue to move up, like if we are going to see price kind of move up like this to say the daily 50 or beyond, then you know, we could see temporary resistance here at the hourly 50, and then we need like to get past it, and that would be fine. We even have the 8 over the 21, so that looks good too. And then if you know, pull back here from the 15-minute 200, and if we can continue to then hold the 15-minute 50, then we should be good. So these are kind of the interplays that I'm seeing in through here, and if that's going to be working out. Yeah, Jace. Yeah, it is a pretty good computer. So I got a lot of stuff running. I got a lot of multi things going. So just that's how it is. So yep, computer works just fine for me, and especially with all of the Thinkorswim setups too. So yeah, Tommy boy, thanks. Yesterday I was at my parents' place, you know, 4th of July weekend kind of stuff, and I was on my laptop, and I have a feeling my laptop was pulling from the computer microphone, not my headset microphone. So that happens occasionally, and it's kind of difficult to get it to link up sometimes. So that's what we're seeing on the SPY. The NASDAQ and the IWM are all basically the same situation. And we'll just kind of have to see where things want to go with the FOMC minutes today. Just kind of, it's basically just some news. And if we look at the UVXY, kind of talking about this yesterday, we should be seeing the UVXY continue to move down, but it doesn't seem super interested to be doing that right now. Of course, that can change in minutes and it can change in a day. So I would be expecting this to move down. This is technically an inverse trampoline move here on the hourly chart. And it is underneath the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator is trending down, and the hourly 50 is trending down. So we should be seeing that. But at the same time, just keep in mind, we are kind of wedging right in through here, and you know, it's still not looking awesome out there. Yes, there are some pockets of strength, but I still see a lot of things moving down. And now that we know that commodities are moving down, you know, oil is moving down. Yes, this might be the end of inflation, but then people are talking about like, okay, fine, inflation might be over, but now we might be into a recession. So that might be a whole nother can of worms that we're looking into. And I'm hearing a couple things about China as far as why Chinese are getting hit. So two things. I've heard that COVID related, and they keep locking things down. And it's kind of crazy to see that China, you know, zero COVID policy over there, even though we're this far into it, and they're doing some crazy things over there. So, you know, be careful with that. And then Chinese names getting pummeled. Several Chinese companies are confirming plans to have their primary listing on the Hong Kong exchange. So that might be having some repercussions and some waves out there as far as the Chinese stocks. But pretty much everything we need to know has been in the charts. And for the Moxie subscribers, you guys know that I've been talking about this for a while. It's been taking a little bit of time, but I would say it's still working for that direction. We have been seeing negative divergence here on the hourly chart, and I've been expecting price to basically start heading back down to this area on the daily chart. We'll have to see how far it goes. You know, at least when I say we should be seeing it go that direction, well, once it gets going that direction, that's an easy target. If it goes beyond it, that's kind of like the extra target, and we'll have to just wait and see if that's going to happen at that time. And then we can see here on the 15-minute time frame, price has been moving down with a downtrending 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator has been below zero. So we've been seeing that. And then, yeah, a bunch of Chinese stocks got hit today. Maybe on some of that combo news and through there. PDD is a name we've been trading. Here was the negative Moxie price trigger a couple days ago. And even though price moved up over the last couple days, it was putting in a potential inverse trampoline move. So meaning that price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. And today, just right out of the gates, boom, got hit on the downside. So this is a little bit of the craziness with the market. Yesterday with individual names, not just Chinese names, but we were seeing yesterday, fairly strong appearing moves to the upside. And then all of a sudden, you just get a trapdoor like today. So welcome to the market if this is new to you, and how things can look like they're going to do just fine going up, and then all of a sudden they just implode. Now, as I said, the only thing that we were really kind of capturing on this was we had a daily pattern for this. And then more recently, we had the hourly pattern. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. Not always perfect, but most times it is. And when you see something like that, you're just waiting for that trapdoor to open up. So that's kind of what we've been looking at on that one. I think there were some bigger falls, like BEKE was one. Its Moxie indicator fired today to the downside, but yesterday was pretty close, and we could see negative divergence and all of that. And really the clue was on the 15-minute time frame for this one. So this right here, even though price was over the 15-minute 50, the Moxie indicator on the 15-minute time frame was not strong. So that was a pretty clear indication. And yesterday, you could see price got underneath a downtrending 15-minute 50. So that was a clue. And then right here, you could see price confirmed getting hit by the underside of the hourly 50. And then, yeah, a couple other big names that got hit pretty hard today. Just go look around some of the Chinese names. They're all getting hit in one way or another. So we got that. Jace, no, not Falcon. It's actually just a Dell. It's just a really good Dell. I went for lots of RAM, and I forget which Intel processor, but went for, basically I just went on the higher end of most things for my Dell desktop. So yeah, it works out pretty well. Let's see, is there a special setting on my 200 SMA? No. Nope, it should all just be normal. The 200 SMA is this kind of a reddish line. Just make sure you don't have overnight on, like your extended hours on. And then other than that, just, make sure the displacement or anything else is normal. And nothing special on that, Roland. All right, so let's see over here on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, it looks like most of you guys are on YouTube. Got some pretty good eyeballs over there. So let's see. Austin, good to see you. Mike, thank you. And Austin, let's see, what are you looking at? NNOX, looking for a move to the daily 200. Seems reasonable. I have been very skittish and cautious on the long side, mostly because this is for me as a swing trader, and that my indicators are mostly momentum based. When I get something like this that is transitioning from a downtrend to an uptrend, there can be a lot of chop like that. Now, of course, for the most part, it was making higher lows. It was a little bit touch and go right there, but it's been making higher lows, and it has been making progress. And yes, this is a regular trampoline move right there on the hourly chart, and it does seem like it's doing well, or at least trying. But man, that's tough. That would be tough for me I don't like stepping into those kind of things. I just don't. I really rather try to find smoother stocks, but of course we never know what the future is going to be like. And so it's tough to walk yourself into something like this and be like, oh, it's like getting a new puppy, right? You get a dog and you're like, well, I hope it's not crazy, and see what kind of energy comes out of it. So can NNOX get to the daily 200? I think over the course of time, that seems reasonable, but I'm not sure if it's going to probably do it in this series of events. Let me look over here. How about this one? Oh, one of my charts is not doing well. I'll have to fix that at some point. Let me see if I can pull it up on the weekly. Yeah, so here's the weekly. You see a bit of an elf shoe in there on the weekly chart, and let's see where the daily 200 is. Right there. Yeah, that just seems it's pretty high, but I also see why you're looking at that. There's a bit of a level here and a level here, and then also the daily 200. I just don't know if it's going to be able to get there right away. So just be careful with that. The market does look kind of weird to me. Even though I'm trying to be bullish with the market itself, I'm still looking out there at a lot of negative names. UNG just got hammered. Maybe it'll bounce at some point, but I wouldn't really want to trade the bounce. USO continues to get hammered, and you have to think the biggest reason, and we know this over the last few months, that even though the market was going down, the biggest reason why it maybe wasn't imploding, especially the S&P, is because there were a lot of oil stocks in the S&P and a lot of agriculture stocks or things like that. There were a lot of stocks that were still going up that helped kind of keep the S&P a little bit afloat. But now the oil is getting crunched. It's definitely adding some more negativity to the S&P. So this is why I was like, okay, we're trying to look and see if this thing's going to hammer about out of bottom, but it may not. We always need to be prepared that we could just be in a very large bear flag, and any move to the upside could be met with resistance and get rolled over. So let me kind of look around. CVX, look at these things. They are just getting hit hard and just going down. Now, of course, maybe at some point there will be a bounce. I don't see that bounce yet. And that bounce might be pretty weak and anemic at some point. And so this is just a tough market, and we're seeing things go every which way. We've seen biotech go up a lot, but then we're seeing Chinese that was leading for a while, but now it looks like it's rolling over. Maybe semiconductors are not doing well. If we look at SMH, come on. Jace, you're going to jinx my computer. As soon as you're commenting on how powerful it is, it's going to start, crapping out on me. So anyway, so SMH, it is the semis. They have been making new lows compared to the rest of the market, basically. The indices for the most part have been leveling out, trying to move up. The semis continue to go down. That's a rough place to be. And, that it means that we still have a lot of issues out there with the market. So SMH, we know housing has been pretty terrible. I'm just seeing retail. I was looking at VSTO. This is another one that we've been trading. Well, we traded for a while. And typically my experience with some of these names, just regardless of whatever name they were in bear markets, we would be getting oversold and then they bounce. And go figure, I look at some of the names that we've been trading. It's like, well, I'm going to hang on to these because I think they're going to hit X target. And while I think I'll be right that they will hit that far target, they take a really bumpy road to get there. And we could have made a few trades out of it. So I try to take that medicine and take that lesson and apply it to something like this. And when it got down to what was typically oversold on the daily chart, we exited. And then we should have been expecting a bounce because that's what's been happening. But then look at this. It just keeps going down. So, would have enjoyed still being on that ride, but I think that there will be a time at which something like this does bounce. We've seen that quite a bit. So, yeah, that's going down. Let's see, NNOX, we got that one. GLD, gold. Now, maybe this is the dollar. The dollar's going through the roof, and usually precious metals are inversely related to the dollar. So at least that correlation on the surface would be correct. I'm wondering, though, if there's something else underneath the surface that's going on. And this is what I've been talking about for a few weeks. I was very bullish on gold, right in through here, looking pretty good. I was even willing to let gold kind of come down to this area, But once we experienced that, same with GDX, once we got down there and I saw how forceful this was, how far it went, and how the Moxie indicator really turned. Like you can see that the Moxie indicator got really far below zero, and same thing with the daily, got really far below zero. Once I saw that, I was like, oof, even if this thing bounces, it's unrecoverable. It just isn't going to work. And that gold moved down so hard and so long that the daily 50 started to turn over. It would be one thing if gold pulled down like this and then started to come back up. That would have meant the daily 50 would have only done a little dip like that. But the fact that it went down, 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 and then stayed there meant that the 50 was actually really starting to turn downward in a big way. And I said, you know what? Even if we get a bounce, that bounce is going to go right smack into the underside of a downtrending daily 50 with the Moxie indicator very far below zero. And at that point, I had to pull the plug on it and say, this isn't going to work. There's too much damage that has occurred. And I said, guys, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so I'm actually working on trying to find that post I made from, I think it was May, that I want to dig up, and where I said, guys, I know this sucks. It was a hit on us, but I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And this is really, that's proving that. Like, there was a little bit of a bounce, but I was, fortunately, I was guiding everyone correctly in through here saying, I don't trust this. I don't think it's going to go I don't think it's going to go up. And sure enough, it started to roll over pretty hard like that. And even if you look at GDX, I mean, just getting wrecked. This is crazy. So this is where I was like, hey guys, this sucks. This is bad. This is gonna probably get worse. There was a bit of a bounce, but you can see here it continued to roll over, and now it's worse than what it was before. So it was a crappy time. You know, we took a hit, but I could see the writing on the wall, and I said, I think it's gonna get worse, and that in fact it has. So yeah, this thing is just getting crunched, absolutely crunched. So the only thing, as I said, I can say for it is because the dollar's going up. There might be some other geopolitical, economic things going on too. I don't know, but right now, just dollar. And then USO, I would say is more along the inflation recession trade. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on there. We do have a short position in a oil derivative, oil related product, and I'm kind of looking for other entries, but things have moved pretty far, and I don't really want to jump on board right now. Let's see. So Stefan, thoughts on the dollar and its impact with volatility? Again, I don't think the dollar is what's creating the volatility. The volatility has been here for a while. The volatility has basically arrived since the market topped, you know, December, January, and since inflation started to rear its head, and since the market realized that we are going into a different environment, that we're going to have to raise rates, inflation's at a problem, and we're probably going to go into a recession. That is when volatility arrived. I don't think it's necessarily related to the dollar. Let's see. Also, when you guys are asking me a question, let me know which direction, because this market's going every direction. So with GLB, I'm going to assume you're thinking up. I'm going to basically refer you to the answer I gave to Austin with NNOX. Yes, these names seem like they are trying to move up, and they are, but I have a hard time with them. They move around a lot, even though they are generally, you know, point A to point B is up. This is very tough for my style of trading to try to accomplish, because here's a big move, and then boom, move down, and then boom, move up. The only real position in here that I would have been kind of comfortable with if I were watching a name like this, and we actually made money on the short side with GLBE a few months ago, but there was a double bottom there, and then there was a trampoline move right there. Other than that, you know, take these trades for 2 to 8 days at a time, because unless you are good at finding the low and willing to just hang on to these things, it's been a tough market to kind of catch any sort of trend, especially to the upside. They are not the easiest. So what I was trying to explain to the Moxie subscribers yesterday is that when something is going down, in order to start a trend to the upside means that there's going to be a lot of zigzag, a lot of back and forth, because they have to get over the moving averages, and then they have to turn the moving averages, then they have to test the moving average, and then they have to go with the moving average. And in that process, there's a lot of back and forth, because all the traders, all the investors are trying to decide who's right. You know, who's right. Back here, they were trying to decide who's right. Well, the bears were right. Here, they're trying to decide who's right again, and so far, the bulls are right. And there's a lot of push and pull. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing back and forth, trying to figure out who's right. And since the volatility is here, and since prices go up and down, these movements are probably dominated by short-term traders instead of longer-term investors. And that's why we're getting volatility. All right, so let's see. Yeah, Austin. Yeah, the Moxie was the truth on gold, silver. Better than what I thought anyways. That's why I keep it on my charts. Helped with grains, oil, natural gas, and now gold, silver. Yeah, Austin, glad to hear that's working out for you. So yeah, the Moxie indicator, it's been challenging in through here because, again, it's a momentum-based indicator, and we've gotten a lot of chop. But, you know, the Moxie indicator really does help on the kind of overall direction sentiment of things. And we've been doing all right with that. So let's see, Starbucks. Kind of the same thing as GLBE. You know, they look like they are trying to bottom. You know, yes, there is a double bottom here. Yes, the Moxie indicator has been moving up. We've seen some of this, but it is not in an uptrend. So, I don't have super clear answers for you because, yes, they are trying to stop their descent, but that doesn't mean they have to go up. They could go sideways for a very long time. They could oscillate in a range. They could move up. They could break out to the upside for a while. They can do anything they want. This is this is the challenge because on this time frame they're going down. On this time frame they're going down with only a sideways for a little bit. On this time frame you're up, then down, then up. So it kind of depends on what time frame you're looking at, how long you're willing to take it for. Can you find a position to either go short in at the top or buy long at the bottom? What's your duration? And will these things actually hold trend for a while? Or if you look at something like this, say on the hourly chart, it'll oscillate for a while, then you get a trend. Then it'll oscillate for a while, then you get a trend. Oscillate, trend. So, if you're trying to look at the weekly time frame, there's nothing to do. If you're trying to look at the daily time frame, it's trying, but that doesn't mean it has to continue to move to the upside. They can just roll over and go back down. So yeah, really, really tough stuff in through here. Door. Okay, glad that explanation for GLBE worked out for you. And then let's see. So Nasir, yeah, you're working the UVXY thing, huh? I'm thinking UVXY will not see below 13.5 in the near future. Based on that lower trend line for the next round, you're increasing your bigger limit to buy that level. Let's see, initial entry at 1390. Well, yeah, that's been the game so far. So 1390, just a hair below her, and so that's where you're gonna start adding. And yeah, 13.5, which is this trend line. Yeah, let's see, 13.5 is even a little bit higher. Again, mixed. UVXY should be moving down, but it's not, and that is something we need to pay attention to. That it may not want to necessarily get down to this lower trend line, which could be about 1285, before something happens. We're gonna have to keep taking this one day at a time. This is the kind of market we're in. So LabU, Todd, you bought calls last Friday, cashed out when it was $9, which was great. Looks like that was this morning. Are we setting up for higher prices? I'd be very cautious about that. For as much as the market, the S&P looks like it's trying to bottom here, and we have had some movers, I keep looking around a bit, and it still looks like the market is very precarious. Very precarious. So I think you actually did a really great job with this LabU trade, because if you look, sure, it could go higher, but I think that would be the risk is to go higher. This was kind of a blow off top move, right? Like it really jumped outside of that third ATR. You can see that there was a big gap right there on the hourly chart. Here on the daily chart, you can see third ATR again, and basically the last couple of days have been a really solid move. So in this kind of market, take your wins. Don't keep trying to hang on to it, look for big something like that or whatever. Just take your wins, because that's what everybody else is doing, and that's why we have the volatility. That's why we get the up and then the down, because people are really, really tightening up their time frames, and they're just taking the money when they have it. And so it really creates a lot of up, down, up, down, up, down. So Todd, I think you did a great job. I would not necessarily be looking for more upside right now. I would actually try and see if this thing wants to reset somehow. So I'd look for a more substantial pullback or flag of some sort before considering the next up long move on this. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in through here. And again, if we go back to the SPY before I sign off here, it's been challenging here. I'm still not totally confirmed, but I think I'm going to try and give a long side a shot, but I'm kind of getting into it kicking and screaming, to be honest, because this does not look amazing, and I still have a lot of reservations about it. And as I said, I'm still seeing a lot of names continue to move down despite yesterday's move up. Yesterday was just kind of weird. It felt like a short covering rally, but I don't know how much follow through there really is. So I'm still very, very hesitant and cautious about this. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm leaving this. Fernando, what about the simpler trading high-low? That's Sam's indicator. I do use it. It's kind of a backup ancillary indicator for me. So as you can see, I do have it here, and it's got some good points, but it's just not my thing. So really, Sam's the better instructor about that. And what I do is I like to use it when it lines up with my Moxie stuff. So I added confirmation. So, All right, everyone. I will be in the options room in 30 minutes. So anybody else who wants to check me out there, I will dual broadcast into Moxie, and then you guys can check me out in the options room, and we'll talk a little bit longer there. So thanks again, everybody, and I will see you later.